Hello, guys.
Hello, hello, hello.
Good
Today evening,
evening.
good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're on live and you're in love. No, you're on Earth. That's what I wanted to say.
You
So,
love, you live, you love.
oh, so we are on two different settings. I'm in Vienna, in the beautiful capital of Austria, and my wife is at home watching our beautiful dog and
He's sleeping right now.
sleeping right now. So, matching to the or almost fitting to what we talked about is we talk about understanding external pressures. It's a little bit, we talked about boundaries in a previous call, probably 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Mhm.
And we want to get a little bit more specific on external pressure. External pressure is everything which comes from your friends, family, or even social media,
Especially
and,
social media.
and especially family. Friends and family. So even friends sometimes can put pressure on a relationship. And in which way we are going to talk about today and what you can do about it. Because I I always emphasize, I love this word, emphasize, is that your relationship is unique. And whatever you do is what needs to suit, what needs to fit you, what needs to appreciate you, what needs to shine you. Yesterday, and I used the word blossom. It's like you have to, you have to blossom up like a beautiful plant, like a beautiful flower. And this is just up to you. However, before we go to that, we start at the beginning, at where everything happens. And let's start with friends and family. Friends and family, we start with friends first, we go into family later. We always, we have friends, you have friends, we have friends, everybody has friends, good friends, less good friends, whatever. And they have a life, they have friendship, they have relationships, and sometimes we look at them and we ask them for advice. The thing is, like, quite often that you often get the other way around. You usually ask these people, usually ask people that are in pretty much the same opinion than you are. So, which is a little bit tricky in that sense if you want to have a neutral opinion, a non-biased opinion. So you have your best friend, you have your best mate, you have your, whatever it is. And you ask them about your opinion in your relationship, whatever it is. They usually, or quite often, are your opinion, especially when it comes to more stressful issues, when you have problems with your partner and you want to talk about with your best friend. They usually agree with you. Why? Because they emphasize you and they don't want to hurt you. And and your best friend is your best friend because you usually kind on the same level. So there is a good chance that your best friend will acknowledge what you mentioned and will agree with what you mentioned. And also, like, there are other, like, some friends, this is one thing. Other friends are like, hey, I've seen you and your friend or other friend there are actually people that try to dictate your relationship. There, you might have friends, or we heard about it, we know some friends as well that try to dictate your relationship in some way. We had that actually ourselves. When we lived in the US, we had a very nice couple, really good friends, and at and one day we got a letter of them that they couldn't understand the way we lived.
Right.
So
I
she
did that
couldn't
way.
understand why we did this, why we drove that car, why we had these rabbits, why we had this, why we bought so many DVDs.
Yes. And we had
So
a lot of DVDs.
we had a lot of she couldn't understand, and that made us so mad that it was difficult to deal with that.
Yeah.
And there are like people who try to push you in a certain direction that that you fit their view and not your view anymore.
Right.
So I hope that you get the point that I tried to bring over, because again, there's one part of friends who are going to be you go to them, you ask for their opinion, and especially when it's like really hurtful opinion, oh no, not hurtful, like really difficult things going on in your relationship, they might usually are your opinion because again, you're best friends, or you have the others where try to dictate your life and try to manipulate you in some way. And that's very dangerous as well.
Hmm.
Both are dangerous, and sometimes you don't recognize it, but your partner recognizes that. And sometimes your partner says, "Hey, I see that this person ABC tries to manipulate you because he or she tries to to give to put her opinion on you." And there might be something truthful on it. And we hear that quite often, actually. So this is one point in regards to 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 friends and to friends. Do you want to add, my lovely wife? Do you want to add something to that?
I really like what you just mentioned, that they try to give you their opinion. They kind of like want you to get that opinion that they have as well. And there's nothing wrong with that. Everyone has their opinion, and it should be like that. We have our opinion. We have our opinion in how we want to live, and they have their opinion in how they want to live. I would never think of interfering with them, because it doesn't, I mean, it's for me, it's their life.
Sure.
And I accept their opinion. I would never interfere in that. Some people do though, because they don't know. They don't know that they shouldn't do that. They think that they have to, and they think that they have to change your mind and how you live. But this shouldn't be the case.
And adding to that, how do you recognize these people? It's very easy. There are two type of people. One will ask you, "Hey, can I share?" One will brutally tell you their opinion, even
Yeah.
if you don't ask for them. They just share their opinion with you, whatever. And they probably will bulldoze you. They will interrupt you. They will just force their opinion on you because they know everything better. There's the other group here. It's like, I love what you do. Hey, um, sometimes, they're like, or three. The second would be like, can I share my opinion with you? They might be polite because and if that, they might have opinion, and which is good. You can say, hey, I want your opinion. This is fine. The third type of friends, and these are usually the most, and it depends. The third type of friend would not interfere anyway. They just would, if you would ask them for their opinion, they would never go ahead and tell you, I have an opinion. Can I share that with you? The third part of what would be like very, very passive, and they would just react if you ask for their opinion. So the second and the third person are friends are quite good because sometimes the second set of person are these people that sometimes push you a little bit or open your the eyes in some way. Like just one very example is like, and I want to take that from, like you have a person that smells, you know, really like has body odor. And people don't like to talk about it, and they usually don't like to point that out. But the person who has this body odor more and more gets isolated, and the person doesn't really know that or really recognize that, and might not even see being the problem. The first person might say something, which is like they push your opinion on them. They might, but usually don't. They usually, and if they do, they would just say, hey, you smell. But they usually don't because they usually don't care too much. The second one is usually that person that mostly cares because they can, hey, can I tell you something? I really want to share something with you. Is it fine? Because they will tell you, hey, I noticed that you have this body odor, and I noticed that a lot of people, have difficulty with that. How, can you change your deo maybe or whatever? This would be the second. The third person would probably know that there's an issue, but doesn't tell you because doesn't know how to react.
Right.
Because they don't want to hurt you as well.
Hmm.
Yeah. So that might be an indicator of these type of people that you might be around, helping you to get that in more aligned so you have an idea of that. The second part would be family, and there's and family is such a I love talking about family dynamics because you always have this black sheep in your family. You, it doesn't matter who it is. It can be your father-in-law, your mother-in-law, it can be your own mother, your own father, it could be your brother, your sister, your sibling, yeah, your black dog, your white dog. You always have someone, yes, and a lot of things, and there's we talked about it in another call, like where we talk about boundaries, is you have, especially when you come from these religious settings, and this comes, and I would say this is more like in the Asian part of the world, India, yeah, or like where a lot of religious or culture influence comes, and you sometimes have to learn about their cultural ideas and things, and then you want, and we have like couples who are not, who want to get detached from that. They still appreciate their culture. They don't want to detach from the culture, but they want to just to be like modernize it. Like they don't want to, how to say that, they don't want to neglect the culture or go away from it. They just want to live that in a different way, not as drastic than their parents. They can be like also like Catholic, or Protestant or Hindu, whatever. Like there's always this. It doesn't really matter in which way. So you have these very culture or religious driven families that where the parents or the in-laws try to have this influence on their kids and their marriage, and that really creates a lot of tension because in some cases they don't want, well, one of the partner doesn't want, because they say, we I I I appreciate the culture. I I honor the culture. I respect the culture. However, this is still our own marriage, and I want to design my marriage, or we want to design our own marriage. However, not disregarding the culture with the cultural settings, but on a different level. And there's always different levels in how you can live your religious belief or you can live your cultural tendencies. There's one way where it's like really drastic. I had my grandmother from my mother's side. She was highly Catholic, like really Catholic. She had this holy water where as a child had to go to, like, get my crossing, my blessing. We had to pray for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner time. We had to pray when we went to bed. I still know the prayer, which is fun. Um, some child remembered. And so she was really religious, really, really, really religious. And my parents never been, but they respected that. And for me as a child was like, as a growing up, it was something special for me because it was not at our home. However, like there's like, but my mother, my grandmother tried to force my parents their belief, my mother to my parents. And some point, my parents or my mother told her mother, like my mother, my very religious grandmother, you whatever you're not able to force your religious belief on us. We live the way we want and not the way you want. It doesn't mean that we neglect God. It means that we cherish and we celebrate and we do that on a different level. So if you're not in agreement with that, that's fine. But then we have to find different ways. And sometimes you have to have this conversation because I understand that you don't want to hurt your parents, you don't want to hurt your in-laws, you really want to, and you might still want to be a part of their culture, their religion, which is totally fine. It's just, you just have your own marriage, you have your own settings, so you really are allowed to do that on your own way. So this is like the religious and culture way. There's always like these very protective parents. They love their mother, they love their children so much that they don't want to be hurt. They have like this, how to say, like this candle whatever syndrome, where it's really hard to get detached from their kids. So they really try to call them every day to make sure that they are fine. And that's another way when this is too much for you, and that's totally up to you, it's too much or not, bring it up and tell your parents or tell your wife, your husband, hey, I love your parents, but this is too much. This is just too much attachment. This I cannot do that. We have to find a way.
Exactly. And you have to talk about it. You have to. There's no other way around for you to just say, yeah, it is how it is. I don't want any conflicts. I don't want any arguments. I don't want any, bad feelings about when I talk about this with my family. You have to deal with this. You have to talk about it. If you don't talk about it, you will always feel that there's something in between you. You will always feel that they want to interrupt in your life, and you basically can't do anything about it as soon as, I mean, if you don't bring it up, they don't know that there's a boundary. And boundaries is also something very important. I think this would be the next topic. Setting boundaries when it comes to different opinions in how you live your life is priority number one, actually. You have to set boundaries.
And and yeah, and that there's these the holidays are 2 months, 3 months away.
Yeah.
you know, for the
Thanksgiving is
years.
coming.
You have Thanksgiving. When you live in Canada, you just had Thanksgiving. When you
Halloween.
and you have Christmas time really coming very soon.
Mhm.
And before you have these family gatherings, it's really, and from the past experience that these family gatherings might bring up some tension. There might be like uncomfortable topics
Oh, yeah.
brought up. And we have the same, don't get it wrong.
Yeah,
We have the same.
we do.
And we hear you.
Yeah, absolutely.
We hear you. You are allowed to bring that up to your parents, to your in-laws, whoever, to your brother, your sister. your cousin when you
Yeah.
bring it up and tell we really want you to be there. We really want to celebrate Christmas with you. However, these topics, and you can just write a list of topics and tell them this is a list of topics I don't want to be brought up.
Yeah.
And if you bring them up, we might have to end this evening quite soon.
Mhm.
And this is hard, but this is the reality because you don't want to mess up the Christmas again. The Christmas is uh, where you are in in the world. Christmas is a very family oriented celebration, and it's the birth of God. It's actually a good celebration. It should be something positive, and you should keep that positive, and you should keep that as a positive reminder every year that it was a great gathering. It was nice to see the family again because maybe you don't see them so quite often.
Yeah.
So, and this is why it is okay to tell your to whoever comes to say this is our topics I don't want to brought up because these topics are always uncomfortable and I don't want to have uncomfortable settings in our house or in this settings. I want to celebrate that. I want to be there and I want to enjoy the time and I don't want to make this like every other Christmas. So this is the first Christmas I want to be totally relaxed without having these things brought up,
Yeah. And what you mentioned, it's hard to set boundaries, but it's necessary.
especially with your parents.
Yes.
And Nadine and I, we have this discussion quite often. Yeah. Especially with my in-laws. I have to be honest. And it's just, you still and we're going to have discussion again with upcoming Christmas. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is how it is. I don't mind them having them there. It's
Yeah.
just more about there's just some behaviors I don't accept, I don't want to see. And if that has happened, I'm quite confident that I know that I can show them the door. And I know that my wife doesn't like to hear that. I just want to however, this is my house, this is our celebration. I don't want to have it ruined by some misbehaviors that I don't
Right.
accept.
Right. And this is our, I mean, as if you, what you just mentioned is this is our house, this is our home, and this is how it should be. When you invite someone into your place, you should be the one who sets the boundaries and not the visitor and not the one who's coming over to your place. You need to be the one who sets up the expectations and the boundaries about that specific meeting you're having. Doesn't even matter if it's Christmas or whatever. It could be just dinner or just having coffee together, whatever. This is your house, this is your home, this is your safe space, and you're allowed to set boundaries. In a nice way. You don't have to be, very angry or stressed out
Rude.
when you talk about boundaries. You don't have to. This is not
No.
the way it should be. You're allowed to set clear boundaries. You're allowed to say, hey, this is okay. I don't like that. I don't like this. But I want us to have fun together. So please leave it at home and just enjoy the time with us. And if you don't want to do that, then you're welcome to stay at home.
Yeah. And I love what you mentioned. It's like if you don't want to, stay where you are. And I know it sounds sometimes, it's like, can I really do that? Yes, you can.
You can. Yes.
Again. And even if you go to your parents or to in-laws visiting, you can still say, hey, you cannot change behavior rules because they can behave whatever you want. However, you can still have behavior rules in some kind of conversation. So you still can say, hey, if I come to you, no, this is a no-go. If you bring it up, we know where the door is and we can leave.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like really sometimes you have to be very clear with what you're saying, and in the respect of that you want a good dinner, a good moment, a good time with them. It's not that you don't want a good time with them. You want a good time with them. This is why you want to set these boundaries of not having these certain things bringing up, or not these behaviors on, as seen on the table.
Right. Exactly. And if whoever it is doesn't want to accept your boundaries, then it's okay to not having them over. I mean, you don't want any discomfort and any, tension when you're sitting at the table together, right? You want to have fun, you want to have a good time, you want to enjoy being together, and you can only do that if you set boundaries and the person next to you, the visitors, whoever, accept them. If they don't accept them, that's fine. You can't make them accept your boundaries. So they either accept your boundaries and they either accept your expectations or they don't. But it's your choosing what you do with it.
So going now to the number three, we went from friends and friends. Now we went to family, and there's another big part is social media.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like
Oh,
we all spend sometimes too long on social media. We all love scrolling through all these little reels, these funny reels, these fail reels where somebody
weird
hurts
ones.
himself and you laugh about it because it's so funny. You see these
Mm,
cat reel meal, whatever, thousands of reels. And so, and however, this can have an effect on your relationship. It can have a positive effect. There's so much stuff on social media that you might both be interested in, but there's also like a lot of stuff that can actually drive you apart. For example, high use of social media, of I don't know, Facebook, TikTok, is Snapchat social media, or is that a chat? I think it's more a chat.
yes, it is.
So TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Threads, Twitter, whatever. So you have all these times where you spend on it, and some people spend a lot of time on these social medias. So they're basically just at home scrolling on the phone. And that can be, of course, hurtful for a relationship because the person doesn't interact anymore in the relationship. And that, of course, increases conflicts because the partner who is not constantly on the phone and just sees the partner constantly on the phone might get frustrated because we still have this relationship. I still want you. You're more married to your phone than you are to me.
Right.
And there's these, and I wrote that word because I forgot. It's where this word like hubbing,
Rubbing, yeah.
fubbing, which is more like you ignore social interactions
Hmm.
and stare more on your phone. I wrote that down for me. It's a combination of the word phone and snubbing, referring to of an act of ignoring someone in favor of one's phone. Couldn't read that better. So, and this can actually also drive infidelity related behaviors. It actually can even drive infidelity in some part because the person gets more and more connected to his phone, the other person gets more and more unhappy with the relationship, and again, it can cause more infidelity cases. It can even cause more breakups.
Hmm.
And that is like a very important boundary as well, where you should, it's more like a should, there's nothing you can do, you must do. You leave it by should create some time where you have the phones off.
Mm.
which can feel very, very uncomfortable at the beginning. I don't say it's easy.
Uh,
I don't say nothing is easy. Everything is complicated. If you want to change your life, it's fucking hard sometimes. It's you can because you sorry for the word, but it is how it is because you have to fight against your own mindset. And your own mind up here is very demanding and knows all. And because your brain is as old as you are, and your brain knows you best, your brain knows all these little tricks to get the little Niels, yeah, doing what the brain wants and not what Niels wants. So you really have to be very, very mindful and very um, focused on what you do and what the brain is telling you. So again, changing behaviors is not easy. Ask someone who's alcoholic and wants to be non-alcoholic, is it called dry?
sober.
Sober, yeah, sober, yeah. Or like some person who's drug addict want to be sober. It is damn hard. It is damn hard. It is hard work. And don't get me wrong, it is hard work. What we talk here is almost like addictive behavior changes. If you are addicted to this beautiful device, it doesn't need to be an iPhone. It can also be an Android phone, Windows phone, whatever phone you have. It's hard to get off. And we had a couple session last week, and I want to bring that up now, where she asked me, how do we change behaviors? Is that on a setting where we do, where we start slowly, or do we do like really from now to from right away, where we don't have a slow move to a new schedule for a new behavior, or do we do it like as of now, as of tomorrow, we change stuff? And this is a good question, especially when it comes to behavior changes, to social media changes, getting away from this beautiful device. And the actual answer is, if you want to have a real change, throw that out of the window after a certain time. Because we, as a human, our brain works best when there's like a called pattern interruption. Like you do it right now and don't do it anymore. Stop smoking. You stop smoking right away, not reducing your smoking by up to once a day, which is still very, very unhealthy for a person. It doesn't matter if you smoke 4 cigarettes or 10 or one cigarette, it's still unhealthy. So if a drug addict wants to stop drugs, wants to stop smoking, wants to stop drinking alcohol, they have to do it abruptly right now without drinking any alcohol, without smoking anymore, without drinking any drugs. And that's the same with you trying to get away or trying to find social media free time.
Yeah.
I talk too much. Um, and I think I don't. Is there something you want to add?
No, you don't talk too much. You basically say what I have in my brain at that moment. I just want to
No.
add something, that's all.
Crazy.
Do you remember when we took our wellness weekend when we drove to
We
where was
did.
and so we had a wellness weekend and we both told each other that, or even our kids, that we're gonna shut off our phones. We're gonna have our phones with us just to check once a day if everything is fine at home. And so we went there, I think we drove there Friday and came back Sunday. So we had like 2 days complete.
I think we spent 2 days, full 2 days there. I think it
Yeah,
was from
exactly.
Thursday to Sunday,
I don't
something
even
like that.
remember. Yeah. So 2 full days phone, without the phone. And but this was also actually something that we both needed. And this is what we set as a boundary already at home. When we went home, Niels and I, we discussed about the weekend. We were really happy. We were really excited. And we both came to the conclusion that we want to have an phone-free weekend because it was a wellness weekend, like with massages and just relaxing and swimming and sauna, whatever. And we did that. It it didn't even feel weird. It was just like a total relaxed situation where Niels and I were completely settled, completely grounded, and I realized that this should be some non-negotiable thing for every couple out there because this brings you together. This really makes you aware of where am I at the moment? Which state am I in? Am I really stressed? Am I exhausted? Am I tired? How is our relationship looking like? How much time do we have actually together? And this is something you should think about. Like when thinking about having couple time, make it a non-negotiable to put your phone away. You will really feel the difference. And this is what we felt. I didn't even miss my phone at that time. And I was really addicted to my phone. It was so relaxing and we were really settled. We were really calmed down. We just enjoyed the time together and weren't even talking about anything else. We just enjoyed the time. We spent the quality time together and we enjoyed this.
100%.
This should be a non-negotiable.
100%. Yeah, it was a really, really, really great time.
Oh, yeah.
So, and the in addition, the problem is with social media, you cannot really turn it off, and they cannot really. It's like eating food, whatever. There's like it almost belongs to your daily routine. So you really, so which is so you are, you might have some addictive tendencies to that, yeah, but you cannot really, it's like, yeah, but you cannot really get away from it because, it's like you have all these connection and people connected to there. So this is why you cannot totally have this pattern interruption where you stop it. However, what you still can do is make, and this is what we did as a weekend, make some really free time, maybe every evening where you have 2 hours
Yeah.
free phone time before you go to bed, which actually is quite good. You should do that.
Yes, you should.
Um, you should. You should.
We work too much, my dear.
We sometimes work too much. Yeah. So, but it's like, so you should really do that. And again, whatever what we tell you feels uncomfortable in the beginning because it's behavior change, but behavior change is uncomfortable because it changes behavior.
Yes, exactly.
So that is something that you might want to do where you can start with that, and which is more than enough. So really get yourself some free time, and if and try to make it every evening because that's best for you. And the other thing is that looking at this phone, why you look at the phone? Because it brings you pleasure. All these reels, all these stuff brings you pleasure, and it creates this hormonal cocktail in your brain, which again has these tendencies to addiction because you love watching these things, and you get these addictive behaviors to that because you love how you react to it because it makes you fun. It makes you maybe sometimes even makes you disconnect from the reality, which is quite often the case, not in where why people get attracted to it. And one of our coaches mentioned once is like take when you take time of it, like, and this is what we actually tell our clients when they have troubles with, so they have these where they have these problem with discussion, like they have like these fight. We tell them if once a discussion gets heated, stop the discussion and take a break.
Right.
What we also add is while the break, this device should not be in your hand. The problem is because this device won't bring you the, you think it will bring you down because yeah, it will disturb you from the from what you just had. It will get away it will you focus on the phone, not on the discussion anymore. But in real life, it doesn't bring you down. It actually keeps yourself up because of these hormonal influences. So you really don't calm down on the level you should. So what we tell our clients when we come to this point of how do you deal with these heated discussions, and we probably will have another call about this as well, but I'm just bringing you to that as a tip because it's connected to the phone. You don't touch your phone, leave it where it is, and either go to the nature, which is good, sound is good, or really, and I mean it, really stare at the wall.
Yeah.
Make it the most boring 30, 40 minutes because boring, calms down your mind. It calms you, and of course, you have to do it again, behavior change. Yeah, you have to do it several times, but it will have a much better impact than staring on this device. Again, social media is good. There's nothing wrong with social media. It's about how do you use it because there's a lot of input information that you can get from social media. It can really help you to find stuff. It can help you to heal. It can help you to 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 have a better relationship. It can be better to be a better person because there's so much can help you to repair your car or to build a rocket where you can fly to the moon. I don't know, whatever. You have all these information, but it also can lead to relationship problems when the consumption of social media is too much. And again, you start one hand um, decrease your quality time in your family and with your family and with your partner. First partner first, then family, and or you start fubbing, love this word, where you really where social media is more important than actually other relationships. And we have that actually quite close to us. A person who is in that's reality.
Yeah.
So yeah, so these are the things so it's actually all about, create your boundaries, create what do you need, where do you want to have your boundaries? Are your boundaries where you say, I want to have a social media free weekend, or you want to say, I want to have social media free evenings, which is totally fine. It with your family, again, boundaries and how do you want to live? I go now from backwards. So we start with social media. This is like, where do you want to set my social media boundaries? Then with family, where do you want to set the boundaries to your family, to your father-in-law, your mother-in-law, your father, your mother, your brother, your sister, whoever. Again, it becomes more delicate when it comes to religious and cultural situation, but still there you can still live cultural and religious beliefs on different levels. So if that is something, if your level difference from your family, from your in-laws, you have to bring it up. You have to bring it up. It's very important. Yeah, because it's your relationship, is what you make out of it. Yeah, nobody has to tell you what you do in your relationship. It's how you design it. In the end of your life, when you both are whatever age, 90, 80 years old, you want to say, hey, we had a great relationship because we created it the way we wanted to, and we make it how we want to, and not how our relationship was um was steered by other people's opinions and how they wanted to it, but it was not really us. So that's basically, in the end of life, how do you want to stand in front of the heaven's gate or wherever you are? And what do you want to tell whoever is going to open the heaven's gate? And when he asks you, how did you live your life? How did you live your marriage? And you say, my marriage, well, I lived on every other opinion,
Right.
and I never had my own opinion because I was not allowed to. So I basically lived my marriage or my life like other people wanted to, not how I would love to.
Right.
And and bringing that to the option one, to the number one again, which is then similar, is like friends, the three type of friends, and and again, also they're setting boundaries in how do you want that? Is that something, who do you deal with? And also telling your friends like, hey, please be more open to me. If there's something I did wrong, tell it to me, and don't be a parrot and repeat my own opinion. If you have a different opinion about that, I value your opinion, damn, tell it to me, and don't just be a parrot and repeat my opinion.
And yes, absolutely. And always, always, always remember setting boundaries is hard. Yes, it is, but it's necessary. This is what you should be thinking about all the time. Yes, it's hard, but it's necessary because it's
Yeah.
our life.
Of course, it's again a laugh. It's I repeat myself again. It's behavior change. You to do something new. It's uncomfortable. It feels awkward. You think about, do I hurt someone? Yeah.
Mm,
If you hurt them, then the love is not really there from their perspective.
right.
Because people you talk about and be honest to them, if you tell them, hey, I want to change things, they should accept it. They might be disappointed because in some way, but they still should value your opinion, value your honesty, and value and respect your decision.
Yeah. And what's very important for the last one is always remember that you guys support each other with your boundaries. With the boundaries you're setting, support each other and be there for each other. And if you have different opinions in setting boundaries, that is fine. That is okay. Find a common ground, find a compromise where both of you are okay with. It is possible that you have different opinions. This is normal. Everyone has different opinions. You don't have to be on the same page all the time.
No, we aren't as well. So, and the
Exactly.
thing is like, and there was like one couple who mentioned, but what if we have really different opinions? And we really are stuck in our own opinions. And actually, we had a couple who was that. They had really
Mhm.
different opinions, and they really were fighting about their each opinion. And it was really difficult, even for us. Yeah. However, they wanted to make their marriage work. So I told them, and Nadine told them as well, it's like at some point, if you want to make it work, you have to find a common ground. It's like, and sometimes, one person have to give up more than the other person. It's not about giving up. It's not, giving up is wrong. Don't, I have said giving up because now it's recorded. It's more about one person has to reach more out and have to give a little bit more than the other person to find common ground. However, in the future setting, the other person might have to give a little bit more from them. So it's always a balance. So it's always about do I do it for? Is it for me or for the greater good? Is it for the marriage? Do I benefit from it as well? Of course.
By the way, this is called relationship.
It's called relationship. But it's called being in a marriage.
Yeah.
And and I think like Nadine and I, we had, especially in the beginning of the first couple of years, we really had to find a lot of uh,
Compromises.
again
Compromises.
compromise. And I think it was to be and when I think back, we almost half an hour. When I think back, we I think the whole relationship in the first couple of years was just compromises. Yeah, I think it was mainly compromises. I think it like when we had this relationship, we didn't know what we signed up for. I didn't know what a relationship really is and what I have to do as a man in a relationship. Neither did Nadine know what she had to do, and it was like it's the same with having kids. I didn't know how to raise kids, nor did Nadine. I grew up as a parent. I grew up myself, so we tried stuff and it worked out somehow. But life doesn't come with an instruction manual in what to do. So in some point you have to navigate through and give it a try. And we give it a lot of tries.
Oh yeah.
And in the end it worked. We are in a good level now, but again, it was like the first couple of, I don't know, first 2000, no, 1999 to 2005,
Mm.
2006-ish, until I think our son was born. It was a huge amount of compromises. And yeah, and I mean, like, it's like, what do you want? Is that something you want? And if you want to work through that, you can.
Yeah.
And this is why we are here to give you a shortcut. It doesn't need to take 5 years, 6 years to go through that. You can go through that in a half a year, or maybe even less.
Right.
It's all about learning and how you do it, and also like one part is setting boundaries with yourself, setting boundaries with your family, with your friends. Yeah. So that's a little bit from us. So thank you for listening.
You're
And if
welcome.
you have, love you. If
Love
you
you.
have any questions, first of all, what we always mention is, put your learning in the community. What have you learned today? What is your biggest takeaway from this call? If you have any questions, you're welcome to ask them in the community. Welcome to send us a DM if you have any question in regards to this call. And yeah, then see you next week again on another call, Tuesday's call.
But you will be with me next week, right?
I'm probably not. I'm thinking about it next week. Probably no.
Probably,
Probably no. No. I'm next. I'm
probably
traveling.
not.
I'm in
Probably.
Switzerland next week.
Oh, Switzerland. Nice.
Yeah.
All right. So
Okay.
we're gonna see each other next week. So our community, but I'm gonna see you tomorrow.
Bye bye.
Bye. See you.